is everybody, there's a wink and a nod that this has nothing to do with trade? I'm sure that the Chinese think it does, but we're saying it doesn't. Does it or doesn't it?
Look, I think that there's, I think I'm optimistic. I think we're optimistic about, the future of the negotiations. So I think that things are trending in a better direction.
But is this the time that you would do the blacklisting of the companies? Or is this sending another? China does things too. They've got other ways of needling.
You're 100% right. I think what happened is that we actually came pretty close to a deal several months ago. There's remember that there's anti-U.S. forces in China, just as there are anti-China forces in the United States. And when I think respective folks came back to their respective corners, they had some pushback. I think so. What we've seen in the past several months is some cage rattling and some resetting of the expectations within each country and each market. Which sets the tone and the stage for, I think, some good talks coming on next week, and I think that's how our government sees it, and I think that hopefully that's how China sees it.
It seems like it's gotten much more complicated, has it?
Oh, there's no question about it. Like President Trump obviously has raised tariff and non-tariff barriers, and I think probably expected to do some more in the future. Chinese are certainly doing what they can to piece their anti-U.S. forces in China. But at the end of the day, I think that there's, I think there's some reason for optimism.
Although it seems to me that the Chinese are also saying, look, here's the things that we're willing to discuss and what we aren't. And by narrowing that before you even get in the room and you sit down together, I mean, that's part of the reason I think some of the optimism is left.
I think that it's important to think about this. We obviously don't talk about this often this way, but I think that the Chinese, so in the United States, we have challenges. President Trump is taking on China like no other president has. But in China, they have to have access to our U.S. markets that are facing increased tariffs. If they don't, there's going to be a real challenge in how they get back into our markets. And so I think that the next week is going to be complicated as we continue the conversation. But I think at the end of the day, I think we're very bullish on a good talks.
Really? The idea was floated here about a narrower scope, like 3 weeks ago. Maybe we do a narrower, maybe we don't do it. And then it was rejected because people said, come on, what are we in this for? We're trying to, now we hear from China. We're taking certain things off the table. Industrial policy issues are now off the table. So both sides have pretended that maybe they're going to try for a kick the can down the road deal. But there's political forces on both in China and here that are moving this towards maybe a half measure. No,
I think they're setting expectations low.
Is that what it is?
I think so. I think again, China has one more challenge, and that is that if they're going to get to a deal, they're going to have to get some strong intellectual property protections. They're going to have to do a comprehensive deal. That's where Lighthizer and the administration
isn't that covered under industrial policy? It's not a coincidence. Intellectual property is IP. Industrial policy is also IP. They said they were taking IP off the table. They can't do it.
We'll see.
How much impetus is behind President Trump's efforts now, given that he probably doesn't want. Who knows with him? I don't know. He's got a lot of balls in the air all the time, it seems like. Now we got the Syria situation. Does he want to get this off the table with all the other?
No question. I think a big win for him would be great right now. The other thing is
China probably wouldn't want to give him a big win, would it?
Well, I think like you're China. You think of it this way: Chinese folks are smart. It's just a really smart economy over there. They have to, if they face a Democratic administration next time, as you're in your conversation earlier this morning, there's a delegation of Democratic congressmen in Mexico. What are they looking at? They're looking at labor, human rights, and other social issues that are not.
Kramer's been making that point that Elizabeth Warren might not necessarily be a more favorable candidate in the view, or president in the views of the Chinese than Donald Trump.
I've been doing trade policy for a long time. I've never seen a Democratic administration that does not include labor, human rights, and other issues that are non-economic in trade agreements. Chinese are great, and those are all very, very important issues. But I just can't imagine China's going to sign up for any of those.
Andrew, that's kind of interesting, right?
No, I mean, look, there is a view that Elizabeth Warren is farther left.
You've been pointing out that maybe they want to wait this out till the election. Maybe it isn't in their best interest.
Well, that's the question of what would really happen. I think you'd actually get. I think if Elizabeth Warren were in that role, she would be probably potentially harder, but harder in a different way because you'd probably bring others into the group. You'd be back into a TPP situation. I mean,
remember what they were going to wait it out for Biden. He loves China.
There's no chance
right?
even Biden is going to insist on significant labor rights.
They'd love Biden,
which means you're going to have labor unions.
But irrespective of all that, if you're President Xi and you got your pop and your popcorn watching this show in D.C., are you saying to yourself, I want to make a deal right now with these folks at this because this whole thing may get reversed or changed?
The dynamic has changed.
No, I'm not sure.
But as Biden has come down and Elizabeth Warren has risen, I bet you that dynamic has changed on who they'd want.
Look, and they've been watching trade policy for a long time as well. And then a re-elected Trump. I mean, who knows where he's going to go? I mean, he could go,
that might have
Go ahead.
Very quickly, there's a headline that's out there this morning, and we have seen some additional weakness in the futures after it came out. The White House is looking to limit China in terms of being able to put stocks in government funds. What does that mean to you? Is this a negotiation tactic? Is this something that...
Yeah, I think it is. I think that's it's always concerning to have Chinese government dictate the winners and losers as well. So I think we're a free market society and free market economy here, and we obviously want to mirror and have the expectations of negotiating and dealing.
I'm sorry, limiting Chinese stocks in U.S. government funds.
Yeah, I think that's largely
same sort of thing.
Yeah, negotiating tactic. Yeah.